Since November, I've been in limbo, as if my life has been paused and nobody has pressed play. That phrase kept going through my head for hours because it perfectly describes what hundreds of you are going through right now. Not depression, not failure, not weakness. A forced pause, a hold you didn't choose. Immediately afterwards, another person wrote, "I feel empty and trapped in indecision. Every morning I tell myself things are going to change, and every evening nothing has changed." And then this comment, the one that made me decide to make this video tonight without waiting, without preparing a perfect script, was from someone who simply wrote, "Jupiter in Cancer is a real disaster. I can't wait for it to end." If you recognize yourself in any of these statements, stay, because there's a specific explanation for what you're experiencing. And most importantly, there's an end date. That date is between March 15th and 16th, in just a few days. But before we get there, you need to understand why you've been in this state for so long. This video isn't meant to give you false hope. It's here to provide you with a concrete analysis, a real understanding of the planetary mechanics affecting you right now, and 5 specific actions to take in the coming days so you don't just endure the change, but actively prepare for it. The 3 global obstacles, understanding what's blocking progress. Mars in Pisces, the underwater warrior. Let's start with Mars. Mars represents your energy for action. It's the planet that gives you the desire to get up in the morning, to fight for your projects, to go after what you want. When Mars is well placed, you have that inner fire. You act, you decide, you move forward. But right now, Mars is transiting Pisces, and Pisces represents water. Deep, murky water, bottomless water. Mars in Pisces is like a warrior thrown to the bottom of the ocean. He tries to run, but the water resists. He tries to strike, but his blows have lost their power. He isn't weak. He's in the wrong element.
In practical terms, what does this mean for your daily life? You wake up in the morning full of energy. You tell yourself, today's the day. Today I'm going to move this project forward, send this message, make this decision. And then something happens. A small distraction, an emergency, sudden fatigue, and by noon you're already wondering where your good intentions from this morning have gone. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of willpower. It's Mars in Pisces diluting your energy before you even have a chance to use it. Water doesn't block, it disperses, and dispersed energy produces nothing. Mercury retrograde in Pisces, GPS malfunction. Second obstacle, Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication, thought, and mental clarity. It's your inner GPS. It's what allows you to understand situations, formulate your ideas, have clear conversations, and make informed decisions. Since the end of February, Mercury has been retrograde. This means that from Earth's perspective, the planet appears to be moving backward. It's rotating in the opposite direction. And when Mercury is retrograde, especially in Pisces, a sign that already blurs boundaries, it's like your GPS giving you the wrong directions. You think you've been clear in a message, and the response you receive has nothing to do with what you said. You have a conversation with someone, and you each leave with a different version of what was agreed upon. You sign something, and 3 days later, you realize you didn't understand the terms. You make a decision that seemed obvious at 7 a.m. and seems absurd at 5 p.m. It's not you, it's the times. The signals are garbled, communication is distorted. Mental clarity is veiled as if by a thick fog. And in this fog, every important decision becomes an unnecessary risk. Jupiter stationary, then direct. The door reopens. Third planet, Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, opportunities, luck, and growth. It opens doors, it creates happy coincidences, brings the right people into the picture at the right time, and gives momentum to projects. Since November, for more than 4 months, Jupiter had been stationary. It wasn't moving backward, it wasn't moving forward, it was motionless. Like a door stuck halfway open and half closed, You could see what was on the other side, but you couldn't get through. 4 months where opportunities seemed close but never materialized. 4 months where you felt something was going to happen and nothing did. 4 months of silent frustration.
The good news? Jupiter has just moved on. The door is starting to open again, but it's opening gradually, and it's precisely between March 15th and 16th that this reopening becomes real and tangible. So here's the situation. 3 planets, 3 different obstacles, acting simultaneously for weeks. That's why you're floundering. You haven't changed. Your motivation hasn't disappeared. Your intelligence is intact. You're simply carrying the weight of 3 planetary obstacles at the same time, and that's no small matter. All of this comes to a halt between March 15th and 16th. Mercury resumes its direct motion. The Sun enters Aries. The equinox restarts the annual cycle. Energy returns. Clarity returns. Movement returns. But, and this is the central point of this video, the few days that remain are not downtime. They are the most important preparation time of your spring. And if you use them well, the period between March 15th and 16th won't just be a relief, it will be a true launch. The 5 actions to take before the switchover. First action. Identify what needs to end. You can't build anything solid on cluttered ground, and your ground is cluttered. Look around you, not your house, your life. Count the number of unresolved situations you're carrying right now. Conversations you've been putting off for weeks, even months. Decisions you're leaving unresolved because choosing requires energy you don't have. Relationships you know deep down aren't working anymore, but you're holding on to because ending them would require an effort you don't feel capable of making right now. Promises you made that you'll never keep, not because you're dishonest, because circumstances have changed, because you've changed, because that promise no longer reflects who you are today. Apologies you owe someone that you keep putting off. Apologies someone owes you that you wait for, knowing they might never come. Each of these open situations consumes energy. Not much, a small amount, but these small amounts add up. After 6 months, after 12 months, you're carrying 20 unresolved situations, and you wonder why you're exhausted when you're doing nothing. It's because you are doing something. You're carrying an invisible weight. Tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, take a piece of paper and write down 3 things that need to end in your life. 3, the 3 that weigh most heavily on you. There's a simple psychological mechanism behind this exercise. As long as a problem remains vague in your mind, in that mental fog where it has no form, no name, no precise outline, it constantly consumes energy in the background, like an app running on your phone without your knowledge, gradually draining the battery. Simply writing it down, making it concrete on paper, giving it a name, reduces this drain. You haven't solved it, but you've brought it out of the fog, and that in itself is huge.
Be honest in this exercise. Not what you think you should write, not the socially acceptable answer. What you know deep down you should write. The thing you avoid. The one that makes your chest ache just thinking about it. That one deserves to be on the list, probably first. You don't need to deal with these 3 things this week. You need to face them, name them, because you can't close a door you refuse to see. And between March 15th and 16th, when your energy returns, you want to travel light, not with 3 unpacked suitcases on your back. Second action, stop forcing it. You feel stuck, so your natural reflex is to push harder. Sending messages, following up with people, making appointments, signing things, launching projects. You tell yourself, if I move fast enough, if I generate enough action, things will eventually get moving again. Known. Right now, everything you put out there goes off in a direction you can't control. Your words don't mean the same thing to the person on the other end. Your intentions are distorted before they even reach their destination. You know that feeling when you send a message convinced you've been perfectly clear and the response you get has nothing to do with what you thought you said? You have a conversation with someone and you each leave with a completely different version of what was said? You commit to something and 3 days later you realize you didn't understand the terms. That's exactly what's happening right now. The signals are garbled. Not because you're clumsy, not because you're communicating poorly, because the current climate is distorting communication. Mercury retrograde in Pisces is one of the most challenging configurations for anything related to business, contracts, and important decisions. So here's what I suggest. Prepare everything, but don't launch anything. Write your messages without sending them. Make your plans without carrying them out. Build in silence. Prepare the difficult conversation. Write down exactly what you want to say, word for word, but keep it to yourself. And between March 15th and 16th, when clarity returns, you press send, you sign, you say yes or you say no, but you do it with a clear head. A few days of waiting can save you months of corrections. A contract signed in the dark means 6 months of regret. An important conversation poorly worded can ruin a relationship for nothing.
Let me give you a concrete example. You want to quit your job. You've been thinking about it for weeks. The letter is ready in your head and maybe even typed out on your computer. If you send it this week, you'll write it with a racing mind, heightened emotions, and a distorted perception of your situation. You risk burning bridges you didn't intend to burn. You risk saying things you don't truly mean or omitting the things that really matter. Wait a few days. Write the letter now if you need to. It will relieve you, but keep it. Then reread it between March 15th and 16th. If it still holds up, send it. If you feel the need to rewrite it with a clear head. Preparing without throwing is the most difficult discipline of this period and the most profitable.
And don't underestimate the digital world. Your phone is a space too. Archived conversations with people who are no longer part of your life, those exchanges you keep without knowing why, that you'll never reread but that are there somewhere weighing you down. Photos you keep out of habit that pull your gaze backward every time you scroll through your gallery. Groups whose messages you haven't read for 6 months but that you don't dare leave because it seems impolite. Apps you no longer open but that are still there on your home screen, reminding you of a version of yourself that no longer exists. All of this takes up mental space, and the mind doesn't differentiate between a cluttered drawer and a cluttered phone. They both weigh the same. Start small, just one drawer, one cupboard, one shelf, and observe what happens within you as you sort. Because physical decluttering triggers inner decluttering. You'll come across objects, clothes, letters, photos, and each one will bring back a memory, an emotion, a question. That's normal. That's the point. You're not just tidying your house, you're tidying your mind. There are people who do a major spring cleaning and, without having planned it, make an important decision in the following week. Not because the cleaning gave them the answer, because it created enough noise for the answer, which was already there, to finally become audible. Fourth action, listen to what arises when everything is calm. Periods of stagnation have an advantage that no one ever mentions. When the outside world slows down, the inside takes over. And right now, your inner self is trying to tell you things, important things, things that the usual noise of your life has been drowning out until now. It manifests itself in different ways. Ideas that return for no apparent reason, a project you had abandoned, a direction you had dismissed, a desire you had deemed unreasonable, a name, a face, a memory that imposes itself on your mind in the middle of the day uninvited, a persistent craving that you can't extinguish despite all your reasonable arguments, a dream that stays with you all day instead of fading away when you wake up like the others. These aren't distractions. These aren't signs of a particular mood. They're signals. And these signals deserve your attention because they come from somewhere deeper than your to-do list. Here's a simple test to distinguish an ordinary signal from a signal that matters. An ordinary signal you forget within the hour. A signal that matters, it persists. It returns the next day. It evokes an emotion disproportionate to its apparent content. You think of a closed door and you feel a lump in your throat. You think of a different path and you feel a peace you haven't experienced in months. You think of that person and something inside you suddenly awakens. Content is not the message, emotion is the message. If one of these signs resonates with you in the coming days, write it down. Not to analyze it now, your mind isn't yet in the optimal state for analysis. To revisit it in a few weeks when clarity has returned. Impressions that make no sense today could become perfectly clear in April. There's a simple practice that's working remarkably well right now. In the evening, before going to sleep, ask yourself one question, just one, formulated clearly in your mind. Not a vague, general question like, what should I do with my life? That question is too broad to elicit a usable answer. A specific, focused question. Should I keep this job? Is this relationship truly good for me? Am I ready to take this step? Is this the person I want in my life? Ask the question and leave it. Don't look for the answer. Sleep on it, literally. The answer won't necessarily come in a dream. It might come upon waking as a certainty you didn't have the day before, or during the day when a seemingly insignificant detail triggers something within you, or 3 days later when you've forgotten the question and the answer suddenly appears out of nowhere while you're doing the dishes. The unconscious does not respond within the time frame imposed by the conscious mind. It responds when it is ready, but it always responds. Fifth action, choose a direction. Only one. From the transition between March 15th and 16th, energy will suddenly return, and that's where the real trap lies. The problem will no longer be a lack of movement. The problem will be too much movement in all directions at once. When everything falls into place simultaneously, when opportunities start to arise again after weeks of stagnation, the natural temptation is to run around everywhere, to say yes to everything, to make up for 4 months of lost time in a single week.
It's a trap. Dispersed energy produces nothing. A fire that spreads in all directions heats nowhere. Have you ever experienced this? Those seemingly busy weeks where you do a million different things, and then by Sunday night, you can't name a single significant accomplishment. A lot of noise, a lot of movement, zero real progress. This is what happens when energy returns without a clear direction. So in the days that remain, while everything is still calm and you can think without the pressure of urgency, clarify one thing, just one. If you had to change only one thing in your life starting March 15th, what would it be? Not the easiest, not the most reasonable, not the one that would please others the most. The truest, the one that comes back again and again when you close your eyes, the one you push away because it's scary, that one. Everyone has this thing, this project we don't dare launch because we're afraid of failure, this conversation we don't dare have because we're afraid of the reaction, this change we know is necessary but we've been putting off for months, sometimes years, telling ourselves, I'll do it when I'm ready, when I have more money, when the children are older, when the situation is better. But the situation will never be perfect. The ideal condition doesn't exist. There are only people who take the first step out of fear, and people who wait their whole lives for the fear to pass. Write down this direction, a word, a phrase. Hang it somewhere you'll see it every morning for the next few days, on your fridge, on your bathroom mirror, as your phone's wallpaper. It doesn't matter where. The important thing is that every morning when you open your eyes, you see this direction, and that during these few days, it works within you. It takes root. It becomes real before you've even done anything. And between March 15th and 16th, take the first step. Only the first. The only one that really matters, because the first step determines the direction of all the others. You don't need to change everything in one day. You just need to turn the steering wheel 1 degree and keep driving. The trajectory changes, and after 100 kilometers, you're in a completely different place. The gardener metaphor. These 5 actions are not mystical rituals. They're not magic formulas. They are concrete acts of preparation, the same ones an athlete performs in the days leading up to an important competition, the same ones a pilot performs before takeoff. You don't ask heaven to do things for you. You use a lull to be ready when the busy period begins. Think of it like a gardener in late winter. He's not planting yet. The soil is too cold, too compact, too wet. It's not the season. But he's not just sitting around waiting either. He prepares. He turns the soil. He pulls up the weeds that grew over the winter. He enriches the soil. He chooses his seeds carefully. Not just any seeds, but the good ones, the ones he wants to see grow this year. And the day the sun truly returns, he's the first to plant. His neighbor, who waited idly, looks at the sky and says, "Look, spring has arrived. I should get to work." The gardener, on the other hand, already has his hands in the soil. His advantage isn't a matter of talent, it's a matter of preparation. Be the gardener, not the neighbor. The most affected signs. A word now about the signs most directly affected by this configuration. But listen to the end, even if your sign isn't the first one I mention, because they are all connected. Fish. Pisces is at the center of the storm. 2 troubled planets, Mars and retrograde Mercury, are transiting directly through their sign. If you're a Pisces, you've been carrying this weight for weeks. You feel overwhelmed by your own emotions, unable to put words to what you're feeling, caught in an inner turmoil you can't control. It's real, it's not in your head, and it ends between March 15th and 16th. The Virgins. Virgos need to listen to this too. Virgo is the opposite sign to Pisces. What Pisces absorbs internally, Virgos experience in their relationships. If a close relationship has been strained since the end of February, a romantic relationship, an important relationship, friendship, a professional collaboration, it's the same fog, except that for you, it's lodged between you and others. Misunderstandings are more frequent. Conversations turn sour for no apparent reason. You feel like you're no longer speaking the same language as some people. This is temporary. Gemini and Sagittarius. Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini. When it goes retrograde, Geminis lose their characteristic vivacity, their mental agility, their ability to juggle 10 ideas at once. If you're a Gemini, you feel sluggish, less brilliant than usual, less fluid in your interactions. It's unusual and unpleasant. And Sagittarians, their mirror sign, experience the same friction but with major projects, the desire to go far, to aim high, blocked by a reality that refuses to keep pace. Between March 15th and 16th, things will clear up for both signs simultaneously. Cancers and Capricorns. Cancers have been carrying the burden of Jupiter's blockage since November. 4 months in which the planet of expansion weighed heavily on home, family, and feelings of inner security. 4 months of feeling unstable precisely where you most need stability. And Capricorns, when Jupiter blocks Cancer's security, it also blocks Capricorn's ambitions. Your stalled career plans, that professional project that refused to take off, those goals you set months ago that seemed to go nowhere, it's all Jupiter. It's moved on again today,
and the effect will become visible in the coming days. The Rams. Between March 15th and 16th, the Sun enters Aries. Your season begins. And this year it will be unlike any other, because Saturn and Neptune are already in your sign. What begins between March 15th and 16th for Aries is not simply a seasonal renewal, it is a foundation. The choices you make between March 15th and the end of April will have a significant impact on the next 2 years of your life. I say this without exaggeration. I say it because that's what the planetary alignment indicates. The 5 actions in this video apply to you more than to any other sign. The other signs. If you're a Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Libra, you're less directly affected by these 3 blockages, and that's good news. It means you can use these few days to take action while others recover. And most importantly, what happens after the shift of March 15 to 16 in April and May will hit you hard. We'll talk about that in an upcoming video.
What happens next? The launch ramp. I want to conclude by giving you a broader perspective, because the shift between March 15th and 16th is not the end of the blockade, it's the beginning of something much bigger. In April, Mars joins Saturn and Neptune in Aries. This is a configuration of profound action, construction, and achievement. It's not the energy of fleeting passions, it's the energy of what is built to last. And Uranus, the planet of revolutions, sudden ruptures, and changes that seem to come out of nowhere, will leave Taurus and enter Gemini for the first time in 20 years. The last time Uranus was in Gemini, the world was undergoing a paradigm shift in communication and information. What is happening this time will be of a similar magnitude. March 15th to 16th is not the end of the blockade, it's the launch pad. What comes next, if you've done the preparatory work I mentioned tonight, will live up to what you've been expecting for months. Recap: the 5 steps tonight. Let's get back to basics. Here are the 5 steps summarized. 1. Name 3 things that need to end. Take a piece of paper now, tonight. Write down the 3 open situations that weigh most heavily on you. Be honest. The thing you're avoiding, it deserves to be first. 2. Stop forcing things. Prepare everything, but don't launch anything. Write your messages without sending them. Make your plans without carrying them out. Build in silence. Between March 15th and 16th, you press send with a clear head. 3. Clean up. A drawer, a cupboard, a shelf, this week, and your phone too. Make some physical space and watch the inner cleaning that follows. 4. Listen to what arises in the stillness. If a signal persists, a recurring idea, a disproportionate emotion, a sudden certainty, write it down. Not to analyze it now, to return to it in April when your mind is clearer. 5. Choose one direction, just one. Write it down, hang it somewhere visible, and between March 15th and 16th, take the first step, just one, the very first.
These next few days matter. Between March 15th and 16th, Mercury resumes its direct motion. The Sun enters Aries. The year begins anew, truly. Conclusion: a date with yourself. If you know someone who feels stuck right now, who can't explain why nothing is moving forward, who feels inexplicably exhausted, who feels like they're in limbo, send them this video. They need to understand 3 things: that they aren't the problem, that it will end soon, and that the next few days matter. Between March 15th and 16th, there's a date. Not with the sky, not with the stars, with yourself. Get ready.